No, I have not come across many men in comparison to women. But the men who I do work with and have worked in our field are extremely influential in the community and in the workforce. I see them as game changers in the role, and also towards role modelling in our communities and the workforce.
As my time as an Aboriginal health worker, I have noticed whilst we have so many quality brothers out there who dedicate their life as an Aboriginal health worker, it is noticeable that there is an imbalance between our male Aboriginal health workers and our female Aboriginal health workers, across the system in general.
I've worked as an Aboriginal health practitioner now for over 20 years. And so throughout that time, we've encountered a few male Aboriginal health practitioners and health workers, but not as many as what I'd like. Well, there are dedicated and passionate male Aboriginal health practitioners. We're still underrepresented in this field compared to our female counterparts. And I'd like to see more. I tell you what though, the mob that I did meet, they're pretty deadly.
Funny enough, a lot of our members are males, either they're CEOs, are Aboriginal health workers or Aboriginal health practitioners formally. However, recently, there's probably only a handful of Aboriginal health workers or practitioners that has studied through the RTO. I think there is a need massively for it. But yeah, it's funny that I've seen, a lot of the people, previous AHWs, AHPs are actually now the CEOs of some of the Aboriginal medical services.
Yes, I have encountered many Aboriginal males and Torres Strait Island males practitioner health workers in my time. I feel we need more because there weren't very many, but still in all, a lot of them weren't happy or continue with their work because most of the times they were managed by non-Aboriginal women nurses in their profession, and a lot of restriction on it, on their performance and their work ethics. I mean, a lot of them wanted to get out and start to talk to people about it, but it just didn't happen because of the restrictions placed on them. So a lot of them left, but they went into other areas of health. But I think we need more Aboriginal males on the front line because we've got to educate men to look after their health, have a health plan, and make sure they're comfortable and safe to see a doctor.
So I've been a health worker for 12 years. In my time, I've probably only ever encountered about 12 male health workers in my time, and I've worked in in community sectors. I've now up the hospital, which has a larger number of males, I must admit, than the community sector. But I've worked in Northern Territory and Western Australia, and finding a male health worker, they're rare at best. They're very scarce. Yeah.
Yes, I worked at a local art show in my community, and we had many male Aboriginal health workers and practitioners employed there.
Yep, I've been working with Aboriginal health workers and Aboriginal health practitioners for years now, starting at the Illawarra Aboriginal Medical Service. Like I said, coming from the mines and going straight into a health profession, I was just a young fella and I was really worried. And I remember this fella called Troy Pender, who was the senior Aboriginal health worker, just put me under his arm and taught me everything I knew. Also working, I was privileged to go to a remote Aboriginal community to run the clinic there in Yalata, and the service was just full of amazing male Aboriginal health workers, male Aboriginal health practitioners, and male Aboriginal wellbeing workers who had studied Aboriginal health work. And being an Aboriginal male from a different Aboriginal community, it was just essential and so, I guess, so really cool to work alongside that Aboriginal male cultural authority they held in their language and their community and learn their ways. And again, I was privileged to work in Warraparuna for Aboriginal medical services here in South Australia and here in Adelaide, and just, you know, really cool, probably 10 or 12 Aboriginal health workers and practitioners all doing some amazing work, running their clinics and seeing their mob.
We need our men to take up our important traditional roles of being the caregivers and the protectors and the providers. We need to build up that self-worth and career development of the male head of the families. And we also need to showcase leadership to our current and future generations, especially our young fathers and our teenagers, you know, that are coming along who can make those changes in the future.
In our communities, our men are dying far too young. This is often caused by leaving their own healthcare needs to too late. This can be through pride, this can be through stubbornness, this could be through fear, sometimes a mix of them all. What we do know is they often leave it until it's too late or until the horse is already bolted. And by having men as Aboriginal health workers, we can really provide a bridge to ensure that they are feeling safe to come and talk to another man about their men's business, about what their needs are, about what health challenges they need to tackle, in a way that they feel that they're, you know, as men, our masculinity isn't being challenged, that we're not weak for accessing healthcare systems, but by having good men as Aboriginal health workers can really ensure that our men are really starting to engage their health system and taking charge of their own healthcare much sooner and much more as required, rather than leaving it until too late.
Male Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health practitioners play a crucial role in engaging our men in health services. We know that our men are underrepresented when it comes to engaging with and accessing healthcare services. And so having more male Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health practitioners are going to ensure that our men feel comfortable accessing services that are available to keep them healthy, keep them deadly. We know that male Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health practitioners will provide those role models in our communities to be able to lead and inspire the next generation of deadly young fellas as well. Our presence in the health system can help break down barriers and encourage more men to access services, particularly those that we need in order to keep us healthy and keep us strong. We know that our fellas have the answers for our next generations. And so I'd like to see more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander health practitioners that are men contributing positively in community and supporting our next generation of deadly young male leaders to come through the system and to lead us into that next generation of change.
The conversation, the complex conversation as part of the 715 and the cultural underlays of Aboriginal health and the shame factors, especially with a lot of males around mental health, substance abuse. Sometimes it's better to talk to a bloke about some of this stuff. I find that, the male mentoring, coaching through some of these difficult conversations is a lot more comfortable, as opposed to talking about some of the sexual health challenges with a female Aboriginal health worker in particular.
Back in the old days, health was seen as predominantly a male role, a male doctor role, and then over time that ideology of healthcare has shifted to a predominantly now female orientated profession. So it's important that we have male health workers in our roles now, because as health workers and practitioners, because we are finding that males they seem to be slipping through the cracks. You know, there's that cultural barrier. There's that to talking to female providers. So having more male health workers to be that face of comfort for men to be able to be like, hey, it's like it's okay and it's a safe space, and I can get my health looked after by a male as well, because not a lot of men do feel comfortable speaking to women.
We are fortunate enough to have a number of male Aboriginal health workers and practitioners working within our local art show. However, I believe that many other communities may lack enough male Aboriginal health workers and practitioners. So it's important to ensure that both male and female Aboriginal health workers and practitioners are represented to provide comprehensive support. A diverse team of professionals can better address the needs of our community and offer
I think we need more males in this profession because, you know, we serve as role models for our younger mob. We provide a cultural insight and understanding that, you know, women can't provide. And we also provide a strong link to our communities. We are effective engaging our mob. Our young fellas look up to us. And I think we provide a platform to ensure that our younger generation feels safe to access healthcare and wellbeing services. We as males in the workforce are just absolutely essential to the workforce to ensure we offer culturally appropriate and accessible services.
Barriers in this field, health has always been based, well, it seems to be always been based around women leading the way, as women are, you know, the natural caregivers in the families. And I think we need men to empower other men and start making those leadership roles. And our strong Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander men need to continue to lead our mob and have that, as they always have traditionally.
I guess one of the major barriers we have out there for men coming into our workforce is probably a perception around you know, healthcare being a woman's domain, and we actually need to challenge this. Whilst it is important our women step in and be the nurturers and carers they are, I think it's very important that men don't forget the role they play in healthcare, and particularly when working with mob, we know that we have some important roles men play in terms of healing, in terms of protecting one's health, in terms of family dynamics and family structure. So if I am to call out to all my brothers out there, I would say the important role we play as men in this profession is we come as healers, we come as knowledge holders, we come as community leaders, we come as brothers, we come as uncles, and all these roles come with important influences to ensure that the outcome of the health of our people can only get better from here on in.
One of the barriers that I think is the perception that healthcare is predominantly a female profession. Cultural expectations and traditional gender roles also play a part in helping to attract men into the healthcare system. We need to promote the diverse opportunities within the field of our profession. You know, we can provide strong mentorship and highlight the impact that male Aboriginal health practitioners and Torres Strait Islander health practitioners can play in our communities by offering scholarships, financial incentives, training, dedicated positions for men in our clinics, support and nurturing in order for them to take on leadership roles, not only in their community, but of the workforce as well. If we can get that right, we're going to attract not only the current generation, but we're going to set us up for success in the future and engaging young males into our profession and contributing to our communities positively. Healthcare is for everyone. Access to services, unfortunately, is a lot lower in our communities. Us men, we can play a key role in helping to improve and advance our communities in the future.
I think we've been working on this for a while. partly I feel it's painting a better picture of the work that is done as a AHW and AHP. I think there's this feeling that it's very a nurse-based type trade, which is very female orientated. However, when you look at Aboriginal sort of fitness and nutrition and the sporting element to a lot of health and wellness and well-being, I see a very strong market for Aboriginal males to really lead and drive that. Plus, developing the deep understanding of the clinical practice behind that would lead to very exciting careers for people as well. So not only having the Aboriginal HW and AHP, but you could go into sports science, sports physiology, and some of the other very strong trades that sit around health, not necessarily nursing. So I just think, again, like we just need to communicate and paint the broader picture around AHW and AHP. That's not just feels like it's a nursing pathway vocationally, but it's actually a lot more broader. You can go into aged care, you can go into a larger range of allied health services from the AHW and the AHP qualifications.
There's so much when they get into the profession and where they work. I've encountered a lot of men that work in remote areas, and majority of nurses that have come in there are female, non-Aboriginal, no sense of the workplace or the work protocols that Aboriginal men have in their areas, because we've got to. It's a thing about women's business and men's business where people feel safe. A woman would rather go and see a woman, female health worker, and a male would certainly go and see a male health worker. And I think that's about cultural safety within a workplace, and we need to have that. A lot of, as I said earlier, a lot of our men have dropped out, but they still stayed in a health arena, but worked in other areas. We need them at the front line.
One of the main barriers, like I mentioned, is that it's a shame factor for a lot of men to get their health looked at, and not a lot of men want to see a female, and that could be from doctor, nurse to health worker. They feel more comfortable having another male who they can talk to and relate to, and just feel comfortable about opening up about their health issues.
Yeah, so barriers to attracting more men in the role of an Aboriginal health worker or practitioner could include gender stereotypes or just a lack of male role models, and like the perception that this profession is less suited for men. So to address these issues, I feel like we should highlight the successful male Aboriginal health workers as role models, challenge those stereotypes about the profession, and create a supportive and inclusive work environment. Additionally, targeting recruitment and mentorship programs can help make the male Aboriginal health worker role more appealing to men and encourage them to pursue this important career.
I think some of the barriers and how we need to attract more people into the career is workforces really need to look at providing a more culturally appropriate workforce. Some of the hiring practices feel a little bit unsafe. So mainstream interview processes, application processes, is quite daunting at times. And some of our workforces and workplaces could probably improve a little bit on understanding our culture and understanding respect for our cultural obligations and practices as well. And I think one of the biggest barriers I've personally experienced is culturally appropriate training and education opportunities. They're hard to come by, very inaccessible at times. expensive. So culturally responsive and training that are accessible would be just a huge enabler to getting into the workforce.